Thank you, and good morning, Speaker. My question is for the Premier. Ontario has suffered another fiscal setback due solely to the actions of this Premier. Moody's credit rating agency has downgraded the province's credit outlook from stable to negative as a direct result of their election document budget. Moody said, quote, "Spending pressure will challenge the province's ability to sustain balanced fiscal results across multiple years." Moody also assumes the budget will lead to, quote, "an upward trend in the debt burden and a faster rate in interest expense than previously anticipated." Speaker, why is this Premier, in her shameless bid to cling to power, putting Ontario in an even more precarious financial position and harming Ontario's reputation in the process?
Thank you. Premier.
Thank you much, Mr. Speaker, and I know the Minister of Finance is going to want to comment in the supplementary. Let me just say, and this is part of the message that the member opposite neglected, which is that Moody's has confirmed our AA credit rating, Mr. Speaker. They have adjusted their outlook, we know that, but this is not a credit rating downgrade. Ontario's debt continues to be highly marketable, and that reflects, Mr. Speaker, the confidence of investors in our economy. While we value, and we do value the input of the rating agencies, Mr. Speaker, our responsibility is, and it always will be, to support the care and opportunity for people in this province. That's the role of government, to do the things that people cannot do by themselves. I know that the Minister of Finance is working with the rating agencies, and he will comment, Mr. Speaker, but our credit rating has been confirmed, Mr. Speaker, and we will continue to work to make sure that people in this province has everything. The people of the province have everything that they need, Mr. Speaker.
I'm getting the signals. Supplementary.
Back to the Premier. Well, Speaker, this is not any kind of a forecast from Moody's. This is an outright condemnation of this government's fiscal policies. The Premier likes to say she is making, quote, "conscious choices that plunge Ontario into deficit." But the fact is that this government used money from reserves and the sale of assets to try to artificially balance the budget. Speaker, it's not a conscious choice, it's a consequence of one-time money running out. They ran out of things to sell, Speaker. This means we need more money to pay interest on our debt, and less money is now available for needed services. So, Speaker, Moody sees right through this cling to power. Does the Premier really expect Ontario families won't?
Thank you. Premier. Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the member quotes Moody, so I'm going to quote Moody as well. And here it is, word for word. The affirmation of the AA rating for the province of Ontario reflects the province's ability to rely on a large, diversified economic base with sound wealth generation that supports a strong provincial revenue base, a greater degree of flexibility relative to global peers to accommodate revenue and expenditure pressures, and prudent debt management, Mr. Speaker. Investors are investing in Ontario for a reason, because we're making it happen, and we are relying on our economic engine of the economy to support all of Canada. We're the largest net contributor to the Federation as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
Back to the Premier, what the Minister failed to mention was how many downgrades we had, and that's why we're only at AA, Speaker. The worst part of all this is the Premier has been warned time and time again about the consequences of her spend-at-all-costs approach. The Auditor General repeatedly told us that increasing debt interest payments will crowd out the services families rely on. That's why the Liberals have closed hospital beds and fired 1,600 nurses, and that's why 100 frontline healthcare workers in Sudbury are worried about their jobs this very morning. The government's lack of financial discipline is exactly why they received a condemnation from Moody's. They can't be trusted, Speaker. Is this Premier proud that Liberal self-interest and a desperate attempt to cling to power is hurting Ontario's reputation?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's exactly because of our fiscal discipline that we beat our targets year over year, 9th year in a row, Mr. Speaker. We balanced the budget last year. We have a surplus of $600 million. Furthermore, we're the leanest government in all of Canada.
Yes,
Our interest on debt is a function of our revenue. Mr. Speaker, it was 15 cents for every dollar when they were in power. Today, it's under 8 cents, Mr. Speaker. We'll continue to take what steps are necessary to invest, unlike what this minister is suggesting. In this budget, we have tremendous investments to provide for health care, public education, social programs, infrastructure spending. The very things that they say we should do, they're voting against, Mr. Speaker. The people of Ontario need a strong economy. We're diversifying that economy, and Moody's has affirmed that the province of Ontario is being prudent in our debt management. Thank you.